Hello everyone, it's been a while since my last class guide. On September 28th of 2020, I uploaded the complete updated Mage Guide. Shortly after, Floor 6 was released, and then Floor 7. Hopefully, until Master Mode, there won't be any more changes, so it's safe to say that I can say everything in this video. If you didn't watch the other video, please go watch that first, as nearly all of it is still correct. Only a few small changes, and of course, everything that was added after its publishing. After nearly 5 months of changes, it's finally time to go back and complete the updated Mage Guide. Before we get into today's video, be sure to subscribe, as a small percentage of my viewers are actually subscribed. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and join the Discord, link in description. With all that out of the way, let's get straight into the video. Like I said in the intro, if you haven't seen the original video for the Mage Guide, go watch that first, as most of it is still correct. All of the progression, the base aspects, how to play the class, etc. However, one major thing needs to be changed. In the first Mage Guide, I stressed how important dragon armors were for endgame mages, with young, wise, and superior. However, throw all of that out of the window, as there are so many better options nowadays. Another quick thing that was updated, Ophelia got her last set of items, with the Deathbow, Giant Cleaver, Steel Chestplate, Mender Crown, and Wither Goggles. The Wither Goggles is obviously the mage item, 70% more damage to undead monsters, 300 base intelligence, and epic rarity. It costs about 5 million coins, and you require Floor 6 completion and Catacombs 28. The Wither Goggles are just basically the next progression helmet for Mage, so pretty straightforward. Along with Floor 6 and 7 not being part of the guide, the Mage Staff was also released right after I posted the video. The Mage Staff is a powerful mage weapon from the Darker auction, while Scorpius is Mayor. It has an item ability Greed, which caps out at 100 million bonus stats. So basically, it's Midas Sword 2.0, but for mages. The Molten Wave ability is insane for damage, and it's a lot cheaper than the Hyperion. Also, Scorpius should be elected within the next couple of weeks, so this should drop back down to 100 million base coins, rather than about 130 where it is right now. On October 2nd, the next major update was released to the Catacombs Floor 6. Let's get right into the Floor 6 content. Floor 6 didn't add much for mages, but it did add a few things. First of all, it entirely revamped necromancy and summoning mobs. However, summoning mobs is horrible, does no damage, and costs too much mana, so you can completely forget about it until they might revamp it. In this update, there are 3 items you should care about. 1 is the Giant Sword. 2, the Precursor Eye, but it's pretty bad. 3, Necromancer Lord Armor. The Precursor Eye is a helmet that shoots a laser that does basically no damage. However, it does have high health, high defense, and high intelligence. Even with that though, I don't think it can replace the goggles from Ophelia. The Giant Sword is the next item. The Giant Sword is an insanely high base damage and strength sword that also has an ability. It's basically like a better ink wand, but it's definitely not worth it if you're buying it for the ability. The only way I could see using this is going left-click mage with a one-for-all giant sword, because it does insanely high damage. The ability is just not worth it. Necromancer Lord Armor is really good for mages that need EHP. It gives a decent amount of intelligence, has a high rarity for reforged stats, and has amazing EHP for mages that need to tank. The next update of focus is Floor 7, of course, with the big boy Necron. Necron is insane and extremely good for the mage meta, reverting the entire game back to mage, with the Hyperion and a couple other things. If you didn't know, at the end of the boss fight, there's a very small chance that in the bedrock chest, you'll drop an item called the Necron's Handle. The Necron's Handle is used to craft the Necron's Blade, and from there, you can use Precursor Relics to turn it into one of 4 paths. The Precursor Relics are also used to convert the base of Wither Armor into one of 4 paths, and the things sort of go together. For example, Laser's Eyes turn both of the items into mage weapons and mage armor, and the Diamante's handles turn them into berserker and archer sort of stuff. When I said forget about the Starred Dragon armors, this is why. Storm armor. Storm armor is insane. It's insanely high. Intelligence, health, defense, and just general stats make it amazing. And the Ancient Reforge is just really good too. And there you might be wondering why you have Ancient and not Necrotic or Loving. You said Intelligence is for mages. Well, it is, but let's get into Hyperion metas. Hey, you! Stop right there. If you don't have a Hyperion, switch to Berserk or Archer or just find enough money. You need Hyperion to continue and grind floor 7 as a mage. If not, just stick around with Berserk or Archer, some other class. Mage with a Mage Staff or a Spirit Scepter in floor 7 is just really not useful. Basically what I'm saying is until you can get a Hyperion and afford 650 million coins, please don't play Mage in floor 7. Alright, so now you've got your Hyperion. But what can you do with it, and what's the best setup? So with the Hyperion itself, there are two metas. One is a hybrid meta, and the other one is a full right-click meta. And let's go over why you would use these, and how you would use these. The recommended strategy for most players who just initially get their Hyperion with Ultimate Wise and some pretty normal enchants, you should definitely go hybrid. And what hybrid means is getting a setup almost identical to this. Wither Goggles, or maybe Shadow Goggles if you're a bit low cata. You want 3/4 Storm, or if after buying your Hyperion you realize you're a little short on money, you can go with a Perfect Chestplate or maybe a 5-star Wise Dragon, but Perfect's probably better for that. And then you want to put all your armor on Ancient, the Hyperion on Withered for Strength, and then you want to put all of your talismans on Berserk style talismans. And here's why. When inside of a dungeon, Mage has a passive called Mage Staff. All of your melee weapon attacks become ranged. Those attacks deal a more % of your melee damage, up to 15 blocks of range. So basically, if you left click with a Berserk style sword as a mage, and you have high crit damage, high strength, it is multiplied by your intelligence. So if you have all three of those stats high, you do insane left click damage. If you're going full left click mage, you definitely want to use a Withered Giant Sword, but we're talking about hybrid Hyperion here. When clearing, a Sheep Pet and the Hyperion's base intel will give you enough mana to quickly warp around the dungeon. Clearing can be done with only right clicks. However, once you enter the boss fight, it completely changes. Keep your Sheep Pet on, or consider buying a Wither Pet for the boss room, dealing 50% more damage to Wither mobs and a cool Death's Touch ability. Also, this pet gives crit damage, strength, and intel, so it's great. Right before you enter the boss room, switch to your Wither Pet, and every single time Necron enters a DPS phase, which is actually pretty frequently, he does it once in phase 1, he does it for every Pillar Crush in phase 2, he doesn't do it in phase 3, but he does do it in phase 4. Basically, every time he goes into a stationary position where you're doing damage to him, you need to block hit. Block hitting is a strategy in PvP games. Basically, if you block occasionally while you're attacking someone, you can reset your sprint as well as take a little bit of reduced damage. However, in Skyblock, block hitting lets you use your left click abilities and your right click abilities simultaneously. So when Necron is in a stationary position during a DPS phase, spam your left and right click. You'll do Wither Impact Explosions and massive left click damage. Using a Wither Pet and Berserk Mage hybrid gear like I'm using, Mage gear with Berserk Reforges, you will destroy Necron. Then you might be thinking, when is full right click the better option? Well, it all comes down to a 1.6 billion ultimate enchant. Conveniently enough, right now Diana is Mare, so the price of Chimera is a little bit lower. However, Chimera copies your active pet stats. If you have Chimera 5 on your Hyperion, you are pet locked to Sheep. And the reason is that Sheep was updated recently, giving plus 20% ability damage. Ability damage is a broken stat now that it finally works. It basically just increases all magic attacks by a certain amount. The enchanting skill also rewards ability damage, and at level 60 you get 30%. So with the Sheep Pet, Enchanting 60, and Chimera 5, you will have 70% ability damage. Another source of ability damage is obviously the Legion Ultimate enchant, and the new beacons from the Dwarven Mines update. If you go to profile stats on any tier of the beacon, you can pick a statistic to buff. Ability damage is one of the options, and you get 1 per tier of the beacon, capping out at 5. This works everywhere in Skyblock, not just on your island. If you are going to be using a Chimera Hyperion, you would obviously switch everything into Intelligence, back to the old roots of Mage, Bizarre Talismans, Necrotic and Loving on your armor, and Heroic on your Hyperion, and you just spam right-click. Ability damage makes the right-click ability do so much damage that it's better than Hybrid. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope these guides help you, and enjoy the rest of your day.